Hi, and welcome to Peak Performance with Jim Francis. What's the difference between people who are successful and people who aren't? What's the difference between people who are living their dreams or going to their dreams, perhaps working 16, 18 hours a day, and people who don't have the energy to get out of bed? Well, I really think that it's a series of strategies or skills that you can learn so that you can live your dreams. And what I'd like to teach you in the next session is really teach you about those skills or those techniques to help you really win the game of life. You know, when you think about it, there are really 11 fundamental skills that can really help you in terms of your success. 11 skills that can make a major difference in your life, to help you get motivated, to help you in terms of accomplishing the great achievements that you really want to do with your life. And I really call them the 11 commandments of a young Jedi, because I really do believe there is a force out there that controls our destiny. And if we can tap into that force by using those tools, we too can live our dreams. So let me teach you what those 11 strategies are. The first strategy, or a key strategy, is really that you have to realize that choice determines destiny. That the choices that you make every single day in terms of your attitude, your skills, determines the quality of your life. And you've got to become a master of choice. You know, there are no good or bad things that happen to people in life. They're just a series of events, and we perceive them to be either good or bad. And what we must learn to do is we must learn to make sure that we make the correct choice. The correct choice that is really going to make a major difference in our life. See, most people have the habit of falling into negativity. If you think about it, some event happens in life, no matter what the event is, and we perceive it as negative. It's not really negative, we just perceive it that way. And what happens is we have this mental thought that perceives it as negative. Now, what happens with a mental thought is that once you begin to think negative thoughts, what do you think happens to your body language, your feelings? Well, you begin to feel negativity or feel the emotion of negativity. And what happens for most people is they fall into the vicious cycle of the negativity trap. That literally every event that happens, they have a negative thought, creates a negative emotion. When they have that negative emotion, more likely you're going to think of more negative thoughts, and you fall into this vicious circle. This vicious circle of every time you have a negative thought, negative emotion, more negative thoughts, and all of a sudden life is terrible. Life is not worth living. Life is not worth going out and trying to achieve. And one of the things you've got to learn is that you've got to learn that you have the ability to make a choice, the ability to decide whether the event is going to affect you or not. And in fact, what you'll want to learn is a couple of skills to really master or change your attitude about what life's events mean. You know, for example, if a car cuts you off, for most people, you see a major emotional reaction. They start having negative thoughts like, oh, I'm going to die, oh, and then they have the physical reaction, and the rest of their day is literally terrible. And what we must learn is a series of tools to break that negativity cycle. So I want to teach you two skills that can have a major difference in your life. And just to give you an idea, they had a major difference in my life. There was a time in my life where I was $78,000 in debt. Obviously, if you're in that kind of debt, you have some negative thoughts. And I had a lot of negative thoughts back then. In fact, when I got out of bed, if I got out of bed, my physiology wasn't very good. In fact, a negative thought turns into a negative emotion. And it became a vicious cycle for me. And these two skills that I'm going to teach you literally had a profound effect on me. The first skill is realize that thoughts are things, that if you have a thought, it actually creates a physical presence in your body. If you think about somebody who's depressed, for example, where's their head? Where's their head? It's usually down. Where's their shoulders? It's down. Where's the breathing? It's usually low. That thought has turned into a physiology, a state of mind, a state of focus. As long as I maintain that physiology of being depressed, I'm going to have depressing thoughts. So the first skill you can learn is to change your physiology. And I mean change your physiology dramatically. You know, if I was to have you, for example, lift your head up and lift your eyes up and look at the ceiling and put a big silly grin on your face, that would change the way you look at things, literally. So the first skill is making sure that you manage your state or your physiology on a regular basis. It's literally when you have a depressing thought, before it gets to emotion, make sure you interrupt the pattern and immediately do something physical. Maybe it's changing your shoulders, changing your breathing, changing your eyes or your focus, or just simply taking a walk. I mean, just simply taking a walk when you have that negative thought can make a major difference in terms of your focus, and can really make a major difference in terms of your outlook and the way that you look at things in the world. The second skill is a skill that I learned when I was in debt. And when I was in debt, that $78,000, having those depressing thoughts, the remnants of an old idea came to me that I had actually read many years earlier. And I think it was by Napoleon Hill. For every single adversity in life, there is a seed of greater opportunity. What that means is when you look at something, and it may look terrible at first, there's a seed of opportunity. You can use it and use it effectively. And I began to play with that, and literally I started to look for the good in every single event. You know, what's the good in being $78,000 in debt? Well, it's a great story to tell someday, and it has been a good story for me to tell in the future. And that kind of made me laugh a little bit. You know, how could I use it? Maybe I shouldn't be focusing on being $78,000 in debt, but what I should be focusing on is how can I make a vast amount of money or a large amount of money in a very short period of time. If I focus on that, then perhaps I'm going to get an answer to my question, which is really how do I make more money in a short period of time, as opposed to saying I'm $78,000 in debt and I'll never get out. So the first skill or the first commandment of a Jedi is that choice determines destiny, and that you've got to make the right choices in terms of your attitude and your focus. So make sure that on a regular basis you're making those correct choices and looking for the good in each event, or simply changing your physiology so that you get more out of it, so you look at things differently. And that's the first skill. The second skill is really that focus leads to perfect vision. The commandment is focus leads to perfect vision. And what that means is about 20% of the choices that you make in life are going to give you 80% of the results. So you've got to make sure that you're focusing on the 20% that's going to give you the maximum in terms of life, maximum results. And you've got to be selective in terms of your focus. So one of the things you'll want to do is to make sure that you focus correctly on the 20%. One of those things in terms of 20% is making sure that you have a clear set of goals. Goal setting is a fundamental key to success. I mean, you've heard it over and over and over in many different formats and many different workshops and studies. If you have goals, you are 3 times more likely to succeed in life than if you don't. If you have written goals, I mean literally if you have goals that are written down, you're 10 times more likely to succeed, both in terms of subjective, you know, your attitude, your feelings or your good feelings of how good you feel, but also very objectively in terms of hard cash in your pocket. So you want to make sure that you start to focus on goals and getting clear on your goals. And I have a real simple technique or tool you can use to make sure that your goals are effective and that you write them effectively. You want to make sure you write all your goals down, but you want to make sure that they're SMART. And SMART is really an acronym. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. You'll want to make sure that you've got specific goals, that you list them out. And list out all of your goals for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. Make sure you plan or plan your work and then work your plan. You want to make sure that they're measurable. Measurable in terms of, don't say something like, I want more money. I want $50,000 by 1997 in the bank. That's real measurable. More money isn't, all right? And your subconscious mind will go to work on your goals, but you've got to make sure that you're clear on exactly what you're telling your subconscious mind to do. So make it real measurable. Make sure it's achievable. You want to make sure that your goals are achievable. Don't be too unrealistic. Make sure that you can achieve it. You know, I'm 5'7", and there's probably not a good chance of me slam dunking a basketball. You know, so you'll want to make sure that it's an achievable goal. Realistic? Well, I'm not sure what the definition of realistic is. I used to say that, you know, if you're making $50,000 a year this year, you probably want to set a goal of $75,000 or $80,000 for next year, because that's realistic. Don't set a goal like $1 million. Until a friend of mine set a goal of $1 million and made $1.3 million in 1 year. So I'm not sure what realistic really means. You'll also want to make sure that your goals are timed or targeted. Make sure that you set a deadline for yourself, because what's amazing with the mind or the subconscious mind is that if you set a deadline, more likely you're going to meet that deadline than not. So make sure that you set a very specific, targeted time frame. The third commandment in terms of commandments of a Jedi is the following. You want to make sure that you use tools as the foundation for success. When I'm talking about tools, what I'm specifically talking about is time management tools, tools of attitude, tools of skill. You'll want to focus on the 20% that's going to get you 80%, and that really comes down to, in a lot of cases, making sure that you schedule the time to be successful. Most people are not masters of their scheduling. You know, they set a goal, for example, that they want to start a small business, or they want to earn $200,000. But the typical North American nowadays comes home after 8 hours of work, grabs something to eat, probably heads to the living room, sits down, and does what? That's right, they turn on the idiot box. I mean, it's called an idiot box for a reason. It really steals your time away. Most Americans spend 7 hours in front of that idiot box every single day. So what you want to do is to make sure that you're scheduling the appropriate amount of time to get to your goal. And it is a key to success, certainly the third commandment of a Jedi, to make sure that you are successful is scheduling that time. A couple of things that you'll want to make sure you do is also eliminate your interruptions. The greatest source of interruptions nowadays is the telephone. And whether that's work or business, it is a major time-consuming piece of equipment. And you'll want to make sure that you begin to eliminate the interruptions in your life. So one of the things you can do is to make sure that you put an answering machine or intercept device on your telephone lines at business and at work. You know, it's amazing. The cost of the telephone is not just the fact that you're talking on it. I mean, studies have shown that, for example, if you're focusing on some event, like you're focusing at work, you're truly trying to accomplish something at work, what typically happens for most people is that they're focusing on their work and then they get interrupted by the telephone, and the telephone really costs them in terms of the time that they talk, but also in terms of their focus. See, it takes about 10 to 20 minutes to get back to the same level of focus that you were at before you're interrupted. So one of the keys to success is to beginning to use or to eliminate the interruptions in your life. Certainly, telephone is a major interruption, but there are others as well. I mean, the swinging door, for example, is a major interruption. I know when I worked in a Fortune 500 company, I used to have an open door policy. And I found that what happened is, as long as my door was open, people were willing to walk in and talk to me. And that really takes a vast amount of your time and your focus. So what I developed was the selective door open policy. Between the hours of 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, Monday through Friday in the morning, you're allowed to walk in and talk to Jim at any point. But after 11 o'clock, there's no way that you could get a hold of me, because that was my focus time. And literally what I used to do is to take one of those door hangers from a hotel that said "Do Not Disturb," and I would take that door hanger and stick it on the doorknob of my office door to make sure that I wasn't interrupted, that nobody could distract me from focus. Because when you really think about it, you're going to have days that are very profitable, very successful, and when you have those days, it's really uninterrupted, total focus time that makes you successful. So one of the keys to success, and certainly one of the major commandments for winning the game of life, is making sure you begin to eliminate the interruptions in life, start to focus on the 20% of the activities, and begin to schedule that time specifically in your agenda, in your schedule, so you can be successful too. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the other 11 commandments of a young Jedi. Is really to begin to realize that there are a series of maps to success, and I call them treasure maps. So one of the keys, or the commandment I really believe in, is that you've got to beg, borrow, steal, or buy the treasure map. You know, there are treasure maps, for example, for building personal wealth. There are treasure maps for building relationships, for building your health. And the cost of the map is not important. I mean, it's a very insignificant piece of the cost in terms of your long-term wealth and your long-term reaching of your goals and your dreams. So one of the keys, or one of the commandments, is really making sure that you find the treasure map. And there's treasure maps for everything. And MAP for me stands for My Action Plan. You know, you've got to make sure that you find the strategies. I mean, go out and find the strategies in terms of wealth building or buying real estate. I know you can buy real estate for $100 down because I've done it. And I learned from someone else, developed that strategy, and then used it. But you've got to find the map, and then you've got to make sure the map becomes yours, that you start to use it in your life. And turn it from just a map to my action plan, how I'm going to use that information. It is absolutely a key to success, and you'll want to make sure that you pay the price to get those maps. Whether you beg, borrow, or steal, it doesn't matter, but get the map to success in each of the areas in terms of your wealth, health, and your relationships. You know, the fifth key to success, or the fifth commandment, is really that opportunity has no limitations. When you think about it, you've got to make sure that your beliefs are fundamentally strong and powerful, and they guide you to success. You know, we all have beliefs about what things mean. We have beliefs, for example, about what money means, for example. You know, for a lot of people, money means power. Money means fame. It means independence. It means flexibility, the ability to do things. But what's real interesting, I consider those positive belief systems. What's real interesting is in our culture, there are 3 negative belief systems about money that hold people back from actually acquiring it and going after it. You know, first is money is the root of all evil. Terrible misquote from the Bible. It actually said the love of money is the root of all evil. And you'll want to start to destroy that belief system or get rid of it. You know, another belief system that's real prevalent about money, for example, is that you have to have money to make money. An absolute lie. I've seen lots of people literally make fortunes with very few dollars. You know, whether that's $200 or $500 or buying a property with $1,000 down or whatever it might be. It does not take money to make money. The last belief system that's very prevalent in our society in terms of a negative belief system about money is that we believe that money is going to change us. Is it going to change us positively or change us negatively? For the vast majority of people, it's going to change us negatively, or that's what they believe. And I'm here to tell you that when you acquire more money, it can have very positive influence in your life and what you do with it. My point is real simple. Right now, you have belief systems about what you're personally capable of, what you can accomplish in life. And one of the things I want you to do is to begin to challenge some of those belief systems. Begin to think about how you can challenge those belief systems so that you can really go for it in life. Because your beliefs, whether you believe you can or you can't, you are absolutely right. And you must make sure that you believe you can accomplish the goals in life and your dreams. So one of the key commandments is making sure that when you think about opportunity, there are no limitations. You know, and how do you really start to work on some of those belief systems? Various different ways you can do that. Certainly affirmations will help. In particular, if you use affirmations with some sort of relaxation technique where you're into what's called the alpha state or a very relaxed meditative state. And that's the time that you want to start to program your subconscious. Because your subconscious really controls your belief systems, and you have to really start to work on your subconscious to change it, to become more powerful, or to start to develop the belief systems of a winner, of somebody who's really going for it in life. Another thing you might try is sleep programming, and there are lots of different programs out there that you can pick up in terms of changing your beliefs or working in the subconscious or doing sleep programming. But you've got to work on your belief systems. Your belief systems, and whether you believe you can or you can't, will determine whether you're going to be successful or not. You know, the 6th key or the 6th commandment of a Jedi to really make them successful is that illusion creates magic. And what do I mean by that? Well, you know, when you think about a magician, they really practice forever before they get that trick right. And they're creating illusion, right? And you'll want to make sure that if you don't have success in your life right now, you'll want to do as my friend Tony Robbins says, fake it until you make it. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest to you is that if you believe you can't, do it anyway. And just pretend you could. Okay? And it's the pretending that you could that will really help you develop self-confidence. I remember the first time I did a speech in front of a crowd of over 100 people. I'd never done it before. And all I kept saying in my mind was, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Go up on stage and act like you know what you're doing, even though I didn't. Right? And what you'll want to do is to make sure that you create the illusion in your own mind. And by the way, that illusion will become reality very quick. One of the other things you want to make sure you do is that you're cautious about the language that you use in terms of your own mind and what you're using. Language has a profound effect in terms of your programming of the subconscious. You know, and we have language patterns in our society that are not very positive. In fact, 66% of the English language is negative. You know, when you ask somebody, how do you feel today? A lot of them say, not bad. I mean, the vast majority of people say, not bad. You don't want to say something like that. If somebody says, Jim, how are you feeling today? I say, wonderful. Or I say, great, but I'll get better. I want to program that into my mind. I want to make sure I'm going to accomplish my goals in life. And part of that is programming my subconscious and doing that on a daily basis, just through my use of language, making sure I use the right language. Okay? So start to program your subconscious mind by using the right language on a day-to-day basis. Another key to success is really realizing, or a commandment to success, is really realizing that flat balls don't bounce. And what that means is that you know, people are going to take the wind out of your sails. That occasionally you're going to have a major obstacle or problem. Just like when I was $78,000 in debt. You know, that's a major obstacle. And you've got to realize that you've got to push past the pain, push past the fatigue, push past the problem and really focus on your dreams if you're going to succeed in life. So you want to make sure that you inflate the ball again. All right, I believe in what I call selective memory. I remember my successes very well. I mean, I make them as big pictures. I actually get them into posters, put them up on my wall, and I focus on my successes all the time. And my failures, I destroy them. I make sure that they're not part of my memory system. I disassociate from them. I really believe in selective memory to make sure that you maintain your motivation, to maintain yourself in terms of your resilience. So you'll want to make sure that you do that as well. Start to negate the negativity and start to make sure you focus on how you did accomplish or what you did accomplish in life. One of the keys to success, and certainly the eighth commandment of a young Jedi, is making sure that you understand that pressure creates a diamond mine. What I'm talking about that is that applied pressure over time creates diamonds. And when I talk about pressure, I mean putting yourself into situations where you challenge yourself, that you really go for it. In fact, one of the strategies I believe in is that you have to consciously confront your fears on a regular basis. Because fear has a processional effect. You know, if you think about a stone being dropped in the pond, and it is fear, it goes throughout the pond, right? And fear is like a link. You have one fear, it links to another, another, and soon you've got this whole chain link, big chain of fears. I also believe that if you break your fears, you break the chains that bind you. So you want to make sure that you consciously confront your fears on a regular basis, that you strive for it, that you really go for it in life, and you challenge yourself on a regular basis. The ninth strategy is really that balance stops you from falling. What I'm talking about there is you want to make sure that you don't spend all of your time focusing on achievement and success. You know, there are lots of stories about people who really went for it in life, who really got up and became very popular, very successful. I think of John Belushi, for example. Very successful, very prominent, really got to where he wanted to be in terms of his life and his work, and then he jumped off the bridge. You know, why? Well, I don't think he had the balance that you need in life. When I talk about balance, I'm talking about making sure you get clear on your values. Making sure you understand that part of your values is not just giving everything for success. That you've got to integrate your family, that you've got to integrate, you know, relaxation and health, that you've got to make sure that you're well-rounded, that you're using all of your values or tapping into all of your values on a regular basis. Perhaps even making sure that your values are matched with your goals. You know, for example, what will happen in a lot of cases is people will say, well, I want to earn $100,000, you know, and start this new business, but that takes away from their family and their family time. Well, maybe you can make your family part of your business so that you can also accomplish that goal and give enough time to them as well as to the business. So you want to make sure that you use balance in life to be effective. Because when it's all said and done, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Because all the toys, all the things that we want in life are really just rented. So you want to make sure that you've got good balance and make sure that you've got the proper perspective when you're going to success. Make sure you make the time for your family. Make sure you make the time for your health. Make sure you make the time for those critical elements that you're going to need at the end of your life and during your life. You know, the 10th key is really that you've got to touch the magic within. You've really got to touch the magic within. I really do believe that there's a force out there or a destiny that controls destiny. You know, and I think of Star Wars and the Force. It does control your destiny, and you'll want to make sure that you tap into it as best you can and as quickly as you can and as often as you can. You know, whether you believe it's God or whether you believe it's a purpose or a universal mind or subconscious mind or whatever it might be, make sure you tap into that. And part of that is giving back once you've achieved, making sure that you use the law of reciprocation, that you give and receive at the same time. So make sure that you contribute as well as you take when you're going up the ladder of success. You know, the 11th key, or a fundamental key for success, is really that momentum comes from movement. And what I'm specifically talking about there is that if nothing else happens in life, I mean, if it's strategies or skills or whatever it is, you've got to realize that if you're going to be successful, you must take action. And if I can think of one skill, one strategy, one technique, one universal law that means more than anything else, it is that movement comes from momentum. And you've got to make sure that you take steps. You've got to take steps to build your dream, or to get to wealth, or to get to your relationship. And it's the steps that you take every single day that will really get you success. And I believe with respect to that, you should adopt the power of one day. The power of one day is a simple technique and one that has governed my life for a number of years. See, over the course of your lifetime, you'll have an opportunity to do lots of things. But if you simply focus on what can I do today to get to success, I think you're going to get there and get there very effectively. You know, I made a commitment to myself well over 15 years ago. It was a real simple commitment, and it was realizing the power of one day. And the commitment was the following. I said that I would, for a half hour every single day for the rest of my life, dedicate myself to increasing my knowledge, whether that's reading books, listening to tapes, or whether that's applying strategies, or whatever it might be. I haven't wavered for that for the better part of 15 years. And I believe that that's one of the reasons that I'm successful today, is because I realized the power of one day. I realized the power of one half hour. And hopefully in this half hour, I've shared with you a number of strategies that will help you get to success. But realize that you should, every single day, do one thing to bring you closer to success and get the momentum going so that you can be successful too. This is Jim Francis saying so long for now. Thanks, and have a great life.